Okay, let's take a look and see whether CO2 is polar or nonpolar. So is it a polar or nonpolar molecule? We have a Lewis structure here. What we want to know is how are these electrons here between atoms, the chemical bonds? Are they shared equally or unequally? So we need to look at the electronegativity between carbon and oxygen. So here's carbon and here's oxygen. And 3.44 minus 2.55 equals 0.89. So that's the difference between electronegativity between the carbon and the oxygen here, and here too, since it's symmetrical. Because of that, when you look at this, there's kind of a general rule for whether a bond is polar or nonpolar. So if it's between 2.0 and 0.5, we say that it's polar covalent, and this is between 0.5 and 2.0. Note these numbers, they sometimes differ slightly, but this is definitely going to be polar covalent. The bond is polar covalent. That's the first step, but you have to look at the molecular geometry for the whole molecule. And what you'll find is that CO2, it's a linear molecule. It's in a straight line. And because of that, it's symmetrical. We have the electronegativity. This oxygen here is pulling this way. This oxygen here is pulling this way on these electrons in the bond, and it all cancels out. Because of that, we could say the bond, this bond here or this bond here, would be a polar bond, but overall, these cancel out. We end up with a nonpolar molecule for CO2. So when we look at polarity, we can look at the electronegativity difference between atoms here, but we also have to look and see whether the molecular geometry is symmetrical or asymmetrical. And here it's symmetrical, so CO2 is nonpolar. This is Dr. B. Thanks for watching.